well, I want to ask you, the last week I've seen this fascinating thing where the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Atlantic Monthly have all come out with very similar big, long think pieces about how Trump is going to be a dictator. They're calling him, they're saying, well, at least Hitler had standards is basically what some of these things are saying. Are we seeing in this kind of these elite media outlets the strategy now being put out that the Democrats are going to be running against Donald Trump?
Well, no, you're absolutely right. That is the playbook. The playbook right now for the Democrats, for Joe Biden, and for every race down ballot, for the Senate, for the House, for governor, I don't care, for dog catcher, is that if you vote for the Republicans in general, and if you vote for Donald Trump specifically, democracy is going to end. That is the playbook. When the Democrat Party that sends out their messages to all of their surrogates, all of the major media outlets see that, and they're picking up on that. They all go to the same parties together. They all went to the same schools together. They all hang out in a group. So it doesn't surprise me that you get this sort of groupthink and this consistent message across all levels of the left-leaning media. They can't run right now. Joe Biden is really struggling, James, on issues of the border, goodness gracious, on the economy. He's really having a trouble even on Gaza. So they have to have a different topic. And right now the topic is, if you vote for Republicans, and specifically Donald Trump, the world is going to end. And they're deadly serious about that. It remains to be seen if that's a winning argument.
Yeah, I suspect people might think that's a little overcooked, as we say here in Australia. But you mentioned the border. Interesting thing here this week, Senate Republicans have blocked an emergency funding bill which would have given aid to Ukraine and Israel. They're instead calling for tougher border measures as the migrant crisis worsens. This is a real interesting game of chicken that's happening here. I mean, I think the Democrats are making a bit of a strategic mistake trying to mix Israel and Ukraine too much. But are the Republicans on a winner saying, this at-home issue, the border, is the thing that we really need to focus on first? How is this playing out on the Hill and more broadly?
Yeah, I'll speak to the politics of it. We talk about the practicalities of the real-world applications if you want to, but the politics of it, the Republicans are actually going to win on this issue just because the border is such a huge issue right now across both parties. You and I have talked at length about the impact of this open border on cities, Democrat cities like New York, Washington, D.C., Chicago, San Francisco, Los Angeles. Even the Democrat mayors of those cities are complaining about the border. The border has become a bipartisan issue, and the Republicans are making some pretty good political hay trying to tie border security to just about anything else they can get. They're also upset, by the way, James, because of this $106 billion that the Biden administration has asked for. It's an astronomical sum of money. Only $10 billion is earmarked for Israel. 60 billion, more than half, goes to Ukraine, which a lot of the Republicans are really, really iffy about. So the practicalities are one side. Whether or not they have a chance to sort of deal with this before the end of the year when the Biden administration says Ukraine's going to run out of American money, that remains to be seen. But the politics of it right now are working in the Republicans' favor because the border is such a big issue with people outside of the traditional circles.
Mick Mulvaney, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining me tonight on the U.S. Report.
Thanks, James.